Welcome back everybody, and thank you for joining me on this scene part of how to build a VR space game. In the last video, what we did was we set up this level select scene. We made it so that we can unlock new levels as long as we beat the level before it. Alright, in this video what we're going to be doing is just getting a few optimizations done to our game to make them a little better. At the beginning of the tutorial, and I can't remember which episode, I told you that we were going to change the way our astronaut is grounded or not. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go into the space shuttle script, and first off, let's delete all this on collision stuff. We don't need that anymore because we're going to be doing this a different way. In our fixed update, which is right here, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate whether we're grounded or not. So what we're going to do is, first off, let's create a float. That's going to be ground distance, and then what we're going to say here, then inside the update, fixed update, let's go ahead and create a raycast hit. Let's call it hit. And then we're going to say if physics dot raycast, and then we're going to get it from our transform dot position. And then we're going to point its direction to down, so we're going to say negative transform dot up. Then we're going to get our hit information, so we'll say out hit. And then now we're going to create a mask actually. So let's just call it mask and put that in there like that. There shouldn't be anything on there yet. Let's actually go up here and create that. Say public layer mask. And then we'll just call that, let me try that again, layer mask. And we'll just call that mask. Alright. So what it's going to do is it's going to find out if, it's going to send a ray ignoring any masks that we haven't selected on there. And what we're going to say is if hit dot collider, oops, actually put a comma, hit dot collider is not equal to null, then we're going to say we're going to want to create another float here. Float, that's going to be our, we'll just call it dist to ground. And that's going to equal a vector 3 dot distance. And it's going to go from our transform dot position to the hit point. And then we're going to say if what was it? Dist to ground is less than or equal to ground dist, then grounded equals true. Oops, grounded equals true. Alright, and then we're going to say else grounded is false. Alright, so that should be working just fine. Let me go ahead and just look at it really quick for our distance to the ground. Oh, let's go ahead and make this ground distance public so we can change it in the inspector. And then let's go ahead and save that. So what we're doing is we're checking if it hit any colliders, and if it did hit any colliders, then we're going to get the distance from that collider or from the hit point. And then we're going to say if that distance we just calculated is less than or equal to this distance limit that we set up here, then it'll make it so that we're grounded, and if we're above that distance, so we won't be grounded. So save that. Let's go ahead, and I'm gonna get into my regular first scene here. And actually, let me see what we have here. 49. Got an error here. Oh, I didn't put up. I put comma update dot up. Okay, that's good. And then let's get back to our regular scene here, or our first scene, and let's test this out. Alright, so we're at our scene here. Let me go ahead and get to my astronaut. Let's set his ground distance to something like 1 should be fine, or 1 point 1.25. Let's try that. And then let's set the mask. First set it to everything, and then actually I didn't show you this part here. What you're going to do first is on your astronaut, if you don't have this layer, which you most likely won't, add a layer. Just add player in there, then click your astronaut again and set his layer to player. Yes, change in children. And now what we can do is select everything on here and then deselect player. So just have player not selected. And then let's check this out, see how it works. Alright, so it is telling that I'm grounded. That's why I'm not able to move on my y-axis. And now I can move on my y-axis because it's not grounded anymore. And let's see if it gets back to grounded, and it definitely did. It got back to grounded. And I wish there was a way that I could check if it was working out in space, but I don't have any colliders out there to collide into and see if it's working. But it definitely is working to go by the raycast and not collisions anymore. Because we actually, oh whoops, I'm doing it by the astronaut, which I already did. That's why I did it on the ship right now. Let's test it on the ship here. Okay, so let me go ahead and get to my ship. Let's go to our ship. Ground distance 1.25 is what I set it on there. And then let's change this one's layer to ship or to player also. Yes, change in children. And then let's set that mask here. First select everything, then unselect player. Alright, so now that we have that set up, now we can test it out. I don't know why I thought we were doing it on the astronaut, but yeah, let's test it out now and see how it works out. Alright, so let's jump into our ship. And let's start moving and stuff and see how this works out. Let me stop the ship. You know what? It says he's grounded for some reason. Let me take a quick look here at our ship. Let's ground distance 1.25. Let me go ahead and move this float to the top. So I'm just gonna copy that. And then I'm gonna delete the float part off there and then just paste it right here. And then save it, because I want to be able to see it when I press debug, but I can't see it right now because it's not actually, it's being created in the script, so it's not a set variable. Alright, so let's pause that. Let's set this to debug, and then let me look at my ship and see what he says for his distance and stuff like that. It says distance to ground is 0. Let's see here. Well, the distance to the ground it shouldn't be precisely at 0 because we're going from the center of the game object down. So let's go ahead and let's just jump in the ship and see what happens. Cause I know this is for sure working in my player. I did it earlier. Alright, so yeah, it's still saying that. I still think it says that he's grounded. Yeah, for some reason the distance to the ground is 0. Oh, that's because transformed out position to hit point. Yeah, it should be working. I'm really not too sure why it's not calculating the distance here. Distance to ground equals vector 3 that distance from our transform, which is a ship, to the hit point, which is the point that the collider, or that it hits a collider. But for some reason it's not counting, it's not getting the distance. So let me go ahead and look. Maybe I did the mask thing wrong. I'm pretty sure I did it right. Yeah, let me look at the ship again and see what his mask is at. His mask is at player. He has a box collider on there, so it shouldn't be, it should be ignoring that collider. And we don't have the on trigger functions or on collision functions there anymore. So let's go ahead and try to figure out what's going on here, because it's not even calculating my distance. Let me look in my astronaut controller because it works in that one. let's see here. So on our fixed update, we have the exact same thing that we have up there. Oh, we didn't put a distance. That's my problem. Sorry, we didn't put our distance for our raycast. So go ahead and get back up to that fixed update wherever it is, and right after out hit, just put in mathf.infinity. That way it'll just send a ray that goes on forever. Alright, sorry, that's such a simple thing that I'm pretty sure you already noticed if you've been using Unity for a while in programming. But it happens sometimes, you forget stuff. Especially while recording and talking, it makes it a little bit harder. Alright, so now let's go ahead. First off, let me look at my ship's components. Let's look at the ship, and you can see now it has a distance here. Distance to ground is 1. So it's a good thing we didn't set the distance to 1, because it wouldn't be grounded right now, even though it obviously is. So let's get in there, and then now you can see I am not grounded. That's why I'm able to rotate. Earlier we set it to how we can't rotate if we're grounded. See, I can't rotate now that I'm moving the mouse, but if I lift, I can now rotate. Alright, so that's working just fine. And I don't, like I said earlier, I don't have anything to test this out in space. There's no colliders. But either way, you wouldn't really be able to tell, because it's not like any animations change on the player, or like they do on the player. And within the astronaut controller, pretty much, I just did the same thing. I added a float here for the ground distance, and then what I did was I set the ground distance to I did the exact same thing that I did on the ship. I got a raycast going from our position, and it's going down, and we're getting the hit information. It's going for an infinite amount of distance, and we're ignoring this mask or this layer. And then what we're doing is the exact same thing on the ship. We're just getting, if it doesn't have a collider, then we're calculating the distance from our position to the hit point. And if that distance is less than, I put 1.1 on here, then we'll be grounded. If it's greater than that, then we'll be false. You can change this to a variable like I did on the space shuttle here, but it really doesn't matter. Alright, and let me take a quick look here. Yeah, it's working just fine. Alright, so now that we got that set up, let's work on our enemies. Our enemies' rigid bodies, not his rigid body, his dead objects. So let's go in our prefabs. Let's get the dead astronaut and the dead robot, and let's go in there and look at those up close. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit, bring them both up just a little bit. And this part's really simple. All we gotta do is just add the align with surface script, and then let me take this off of debug really quick. Set the gravity to whatever you want, whatever the gravity is on your planet, and then get the planet's gonna get itself within the script. You don't have to set that. The smooth, we'll keep that at 0 because it's automatically gonna spawn at the enemy or player's rotation, so we don't need to set the rotation, and we don't really want to because we want them to fall down like they're dead. And then the minimum distance, what was the distance on here again? Let me take a quick look. Sorry, I think it was 2. Yep. Yeah, mine is a little higher than yours most likely because I bumped my planet size up a while back. But if you did the same thing, then that's what your distance would be. So let's get back into the 2 dead objects and just paste that there. Alright. And then save them. Apply the prefabs. Alright. So now when they die, no matter on what part of the planet they're on, the gravity is going to be pulling them into the center of the planet. Alright, so now that we got those optimizations fixed up, there was one more thing I'm not sure if I even showed you. I might have not have shown you this, but it's pretty simple. I created these drag floats here, and angular drag floats, so that I could change them depending on whether I was grounded or within an atmosphere or in space. And all I did was I said if I'm grounded, then my drag equals a ground drag. My grounds or my rigid body's angular drag equals a ground angular drag. And then if I'm not grounded, then this is another thing I added. I made a hollow planet, so I had to create another aligning script, but just ignore that. What I'm saying is we're getting the aligning with surface component, and we're saying if our distance is less than the minimum distance, then that means that we're inside of the atmosphere, not in space. So our drag is going to be the normal drag, and our angular drag is going to be the normal angular drag. And then if we are in space, they're going to be set to the space drags. And as a matter of fact, I was thinking there might have been a way that I wanted to change this, because for some reason it's working now, but for some reason it wasn't working, and I didn't even change anything, but now it's working. As a matter of fact, I think what it was, it really doesn't matter to you because you don't have this script. I had to add this in there to make it work, but if you want to, you can add this script in there. All it does is makes you align the opposite way and go pretty much outward instead of inward. That way you can be inside of a sphere. That's what I did for my second level. If I go to level 2 here, let me just I don't need to save that because I didn't change anything. All I did was bring in those prefabs. I don't think I changed anything in there, but it's okay. Alright, and as you can see, we're inside of this hollow planet. And I got some trees and stuff like that, and we're actually on the top of it right now, so we're upside down. And then you can see there's a entrance and an exit, or both at the same time there. And if I press play, here, then you can see I'm going to the outside of this object instead of to the inside of the object with gravity. See that? And you can see how cool this hollow planet really looks. I mean, the textures are, they're not very advanced, and the mesh itself isn't very high quality. But if I made it any more high quality, there'd be way too many vertices in this mesh, and it would probably crash Unity. So it's as good as I can get it, pretty much. I mean, the texture is not as good as I can get it, but the mesh itself is as good as I can get it. And let me go ahead and go into I'll go ahead and open up this aligning with surface. Where is it? Is this it? Yeah, here it is. And all I did was I changed the gravity's direction here. Instead of having no, I didn't change the gravity's direction. I changed the look rotation here. Instead of having it as negative gravity direction, I changed it to the gravity direction. Also here, I added the force to go negative gravity direction instead of the direction of gravity, so that it'll be going outwards instead of inward. And that's all that I changed in that part. So that part was actually really, really simple. But for some reason, it doesn't work for my AI. My AI is always upside down, and I'll try to figure that out. That way we can have AIs in here, enemies and stuff. But right now I don't have any enemies in this level because they always spawn upside down. I can show you what I mean if I just turn on the spawner really quick. So we got the bot AI, and do I have the align script? No, I don't have the align script on there. Let me go ahead and actually I created another bot here with the align script, and I changed the distance. Oh, and that's one more thing with the distance. If you're going to be doing the hollow planet thing, then you're going to want the distance to be somewhere. You don't want it to be outside of the distance of how big this is. Otherwise, you'll be getting pushed away from the planet or space station, whatever you want to call it, even though you're not inside of it. And you only want to be getting pushed to the outside if you're inside of it. So you want to set its distance to be pretty much the lowest point that the terrain on the inside goes, which for mine was right around 2020. Alright. So yeah, that's going to be all that I'm doing for the optimizations for now. If I end up figuring other things out to optimize it a little better, I'll definitely put a video up for that. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed spending the time with me and getting this all set up. If you liked the video, make sure to hit like. If you have any questions, as always, just hit up the comment box. And please don't forget to subscribe.